In this video we're going to look at monument placement. I'm going to start off by placing a few monuments that you'll recognise, and from there we'll try and discuss some of the ones that are a little more tricky to place. First of all, I'm going to show you how to find the monuments. If you go up to Prefabs, Prefab List, and from the drop down go to Assets, Bundled, Prefabs, Auto Spawn, Monument. In here you'll find folders that correspond to all of the types of monument in the game. So Arctic bases, fishing villages, harbours are all fairly obvious. Large monuments represent things like the airfield, excavator, power plant. Medium will show you the compound, bandit town, junkyard, etc, etc. You can go through these and you'll see all the names that you recognise, including things like quarries, water wells, and launch site. If you know the name of the monument that you want to place, you can type it into the search list. So for instance, excavator, just type the first few letters and it should appear somewhere in this list. So we're just going to pull the monument that we want into our scene. And you want to pick a fairly flat piece of terrain. So I think the excavator would work fairly well in this space here. If you click the monument that you've selected, you'll get what's called the gizmo. And this is a multicoloured tool which allows you to drag the monument on the 3 axes. So you've got the green, which will take it up and down. Red and blue take it side to side. Generally, you want to position your monument in the ground and not near the coast. So I think about there will do. Just check under the terrain to make sure that you're not clipping into the water. And if everything looks good, check to see if there is a snap to tunnel grid option. If there is, then click on that and that will snap your monument to the underground network's position, allowing the metro entrance to line up perfectly with the stations. Do apply height mask and then just check how your terrain has blended into your monument. So I think that's worked quite well. I'm just going to keep that like that for now. A simpler monument might be the sphere tank, which I think we'll place all the way over here. So in the search, I'm just going to type sphere, because that's what it's called in the prefab list. I'm just going to drag that out, same as I did before. I'm going to position it just a bit lower in the terrain. So for this monument, you'll see that the road is pointing out to sea, which is not particularly practical. What I'm going to do is do Control E, and that will give me the rotational gizmo. You can just about see the green line, the red line, and the blue line there. They work exactly the same as the movement gimbal. I'm going to drag the green line, and that will allow me to rotate the monument round. To go back to the movement gimbal, press Ctrl W. I'm just going to lower this until the road is in the terrain. So you'll notice down here there's no snap to tunnel grid. So just do apply height mask. And once again, just see how the monument has blended into the terrain. And if you're happy with how that looks, then you can move on to your next one. When I say if you're happy with how that looks, if I just do Control Z to undo that blend. Say for instance you've placed your monument a bit too high, and you do height mask, you'll end up with a mound like this, which generally is not particularly practical to work with. And so when I say, are you happy, that's generally what I'm looking for. The other thing to look out for, if you put your monument too close to the coast, it'll distort the coastline, and that also tends to be unattractive. So, given that I'm happy with this location, I'm going to apply the height mask again, and that is that. The next monument we're going to place is the train yard. So once again, searching for it in the prefab list, it's at the top of the list. Let's just place that here. Once again, I want to rotate this, so Control E. And you need to be mindful of the exits for the train track and also the roads. So on this monument, you'll see that you've got a road exit here and here, and another one at this side. And then you've got train exits on both sides of the monument. Just going to rotate it a little more. So once again, this has snap to tunnel grid. And when I click that, you see that the monument shifts just slightly. And I'm also going to do apply height mask. We'll just see how this fits in with the surrounding terrain. I think that looks all right. The next monument I'm going to do is one of the harbours. I think I'm going to have it on this island over here. So once again, just search for that. And we're going to go with, let's go with the smaller of the harbours. Just going to drag that out. I'm going to rotate it so that the harbour is in line with the coast. Just going to position that. And then I'm going to take the y-axis, which is its height above sea level, and I'm going to set that to 0. And then I'm going to do snap to tunnel grid and apply height mask. So because this is a coastal monument, it has affected the beach on the coast here, but that's fine. There's very little you can do about that. And on both, that's affected both sides. But generally I'm happy with that placement. I'm going to go ahead and add all the other monuments that I want on this map, and then we can talk about some of the other special cases. Okay, we've added in a whole bunch of monuments. If you need to get a full list of what you've added at this point, if you hit the H key, that will bring up the scene hierarchy, and you can see that you have all of these different prefabs in game. So the train yard, excavator, harbour, all the way down to the last monument that I added, which was the bandit town here. With these done, I want to show you how to add oil rigs. These work slightly differently. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the water, and we're just going to head to the edge of the map, go to prefabs, prefab list, and just search for oil. At the top of the list you'll see oil rig 1 and oil rig 2. Oil rig 1 is the larger of the two oil rigs, and obviously oil rig 2 is the smaller. So I'm just going to drag oil rig 1 into the map, and for some reason it's decided to drop it off in the centre rather than where I want it. So just select that and drag the white box to generally where you want it, which is all the way over here. So with the oil rigs, you can have these outside of your scene. First of all, I'm going to set the height to 0 because this is currently underwater. And I'm just going to drag it out to about here. And I'm just going to rotate it a little bit. I think that'll do. I'm just going to do the same on the other side of the map with the small oil rig. Once again, setting the height to 0. Okay, I think that looks fine. You might have noticed that I haven't added the compound. That's not an oversight. We're going to be adding custom vending machines into this map later. So don't worry that it's not on here. You can just drag the compound into the map and use it wherever you like. There's nothing special about putting the compound into the map. If you've got any questions about monuments, how to place them, where to place them, feel free to ask down in the YouTube comments. Alternatively, join our Discord. There's a link in the description and you can ask a question there and I'll try and get back to you. Otherwise, subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Or subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Bye.